Hey there, thanks for tuning into Duckbricks, and welcome to another Avatar review. This time we'll be taking a look at set number 75574, Toruk, Makto, and the Tree of Souls. Now, over the past few weeks, we have been reviewing every single one of the minifigure compatible Avatar sets. To date, there have been 4 released based on the first movie, now in 2022, and of course, this will all be culminating in a mega review, showcasing what all of these sets look like when put together, because every single one of the foliage parts of each of the sets are specifically designed to work together in a massive diorama. So I'm so excited to showcase that, but for now, let's now focus in on this particular set featuring a pretty good variety of stuff, from a few different creatures to the massive Tree of Souls to some nice foliage pieces. There is a lot to see here, and I can't wait to showcase it in depth for all of you, and so let's jump right into the review. Here we have set number 75574, Toruk, Makto, and Tree of Souls. This retails for $150 US, 150 euros, or 130 British pounds, includes 4 minifigures, which surprisingly is one less than the $100 Avatar set, and comes with, well, a lot of stuff. As you can see, it comes with the aforementioned Tree of Souls, which is one of the main focus builds of the set itself, but it also comes with the majestic Toruk bird, which you can see here, the creature, which is one of the, or probably is the largest creature they've done for the Avatar line. Not quite for all of Avatar, the Way of Water has a larger creature than this, but it is one of the largest ones for the first wave of sets, as well as the most detailed terrain builds that we have seen out of any of the initial sets. This set has it all for the Avatar fan, because you have a wide amount of nature, you have really just the whole world of Pandora being included in the set itself, as well as an incredibly majestic creature. This is one of the most interesting and exciting LEGO Avatar sets to me personally, just because of how cool it is to see all of these different elements being included in one set. But of course, it's now time to actually dive deeper into the set itself. This is absolutely the flagship set of the wave, and one of the best, if not the best, Avatar sets out of the 4 that they have done so far. So taking a closer look at the model itself without the turntable in place, it's time we take a look at the different builds, and I do kind of want to start off specifically with the larger build, not the Tree of Souls. So actually, if we remove the tree here, I want to start off this review by taking a closer look at the base itself, because the way that Avatar sets are built are really cool in that the entire thing is modular. Let me show you. Zooming in here, you may notice that at the ends of each of these particular elements here, there is either a clip or a bar on the other side, which you can use to actually attach different modules from the LEGO Avatar theme, which I think is a really cool way to actually combine the set. Let's set aside the Tree of Souls for now and just take a look at the set as a whole all at once, and you can see that you have a very nice rock formation here. It kind of forms a secret entryway to the Toruk and the Tree of Souls itself, which I think is a very nice addition. Let me just reattach this particular section here, and of course you can just move these around however you want. You don't have to set it up in one particular way, and that's the beauty of the LEGO Avatar sets, is you can really just kind of do whatever you want with in terms of displaying the foliage. There is no one correct way of displaying it. The way this archway is built is actually surprisingly really clever. It does rely on a lot of studs on these side techniques to bind certain pieces together and really make it feel like one complete archway. And then working our way upwards, you have a majestic sculpture for the Toruk itself, which is the main focus of the set. It is the largest and most majestic of the creatures, but taking it off here, you actually can see this does have a ton of detail to it, where you can just see this is a really majestic creature. The wings themselves are mounted on ratchet joints, so you can really just fold them all the way out, back and forth. You can even move these back kind of contrail wing elements as well, and of course you can have this standing, and you can just move the legs back into position and have them kind of standing, and even fold the wings inwards. So if you wanted to kind of fold these in to make the wings folded up, you can choose to do that, and just have him kind of on a landed position, which I think is one of the best parts about this particular creature, is you can just land him on the ground just like this. Now, there are some drawbacks to this. As you can see, if you are aware of some of the other LEGO Ninjago sets, the way the feet are constructed are very similar to Kai's Legacy Fire Dragon, which is both good and bad, because they have a lot of detail, but the unfortunate thing is, the feet don't have a joint to them, which means they are permanently attached to wherever the legs are pivoting, which means if you actually want it standing flat on its feet, you do have to have the legs in a very rigid and awkward position. The moment you actually try to splay the legs outwards, it's not resting on its feet. And I just kind of wish they just included a ball joint to actually mount the feet instead of just rigidly attaching them to the upper legs themselves to just have a little bit more articulation, which probably would have made this a lot easier to pose up. Still, that being said, he is in no risk of falling over because when landed you can actually have him placed on his claws on the wings themselves, which is a very nice addition. The entire thing, as you can see here, actually does fold up, so you can really have the wings folded up very much like in the movie, and they did introduce a brand new headpiece for the creature itself. You can see just a very large fin on the top and bottom for the creature head, and of course you can move the head up and down based on the ratchet or kind of click joints right here. Articulation, honestly, could have been a little bit better here. I definitely would have preferred to see just a little bit more articulation in the neck. I wish you were able to just rotate this piece. Unfortunately, it is attached by axles, so you can't rotate it. You can turn it around the other way, but I guess that was just to not knock over the minifigure here, which I guess has an okay point, but it's not really a big deal. I definitely would have wanted to have the head, say, mounted on a ball joint instead, because right now, he can't look back and forth without removing his head. He is basically just looking straight, which I think is a bit of an oversight for a creature like this. Even beyond that though, I think that the rest of the creature is quite good in his presentation, and in flight, 99% of these issues go away, because, well, being in flight allows you to not have to worry about the feet just being perfectly straight, and of course, it just looks so majestic in flight that this is just one of the largest creatures from the Avatar world, barely even fitting in within the realm of my camera here, and it just looks really cool in flight, and honestly, I forgive it for a lot of the mistakes when it is flying. That being said, a couple of things. I kind of wish the wings were mounted using friction add-ons and ball joints. Those would have been really cool to actually have been included in the model itself. So again, you could just get it into more interesting poses. Ratchets are typically always inferior to ball joints in terms of giving us posability, except for a few very rare instances. So I do think that is a bit of a drawback to the set itself. But overall, I do really like the shaping and construction of the creature, especially the front chest nostrils are really cool to see. Placing him back on the pedestal here, let me just get this back in a line so he is now once again hovering in place majestically as he should. I think it's now time to bring over the Tree of Souls itself and take a look at that particular build. Now, I spoke a little bit about this in the initial turnaround, but as you can see here, this is the tree right here. And I actually really love the way that the tree is built. It reminds me of some of the LEGO floral sets, which are like the adult-oriented flower stuff, particularly the bonsai tree and the way it's built. Just a lot of really interesting techniques with the cords wrapping around it, kind of acting like vines or wood elements. You have a lot of studs on the side building techniques here to form the way the tree is shaped, and overall just a lot of really nice pieces being used in terms of actually showcasing the look and feel of the tree itself. And of course, the base utilizing the glow-in-the-dark elements is very cool because they have such a strong glow to them, especially right when you turn the lights off. This is just a really cool thing because a lot of important stuff happened at the base of this tree, which featured it glowing, so it makes total sense to have the glowing elements being centralized around here. Turning this back on, I think this is one of the coolest looking LEGO trees, and simply it is just a very nice expression of the model itself and an expression of the world of Avatar, and altogether I think that makes this one of the best LEGO display sets if you're a fan of fantasy and nature. Alright, so here are the 4 minifigures and 1 dire horse included in set number 75574 Toruk, Makto, and Tree of Souls. They include Jake Sully, Moat, Neytiri, and Sute, which I think were probably the only minifigures that really make sense to include in a set like this. I honestly can't really think of other figures that would have fit better in the scene. It would have been nice to get other figures, but I guess this is fine if you're only going to give us 4. These are the 4 to give us, especially with the spiritual leader and the warrior and whatnot. Now, I think that one of the flaws of LEGO Avatar really showcases itself here, because as you can see, there are only 2 different hairstyles used across the figures, female and male. And that means that Sute over here has an incredibly inaccurate hairpiece. He really kind of had a much shorter style of hair in the film itself, but now he's kind of relegated to having the exact same long hair as Jake Sully because they only made one new mold for the male figures of the Avatar line. The female figures are generally a little bit better because their hairstyles are fairly similar. It is just very glaring to have the wrong hair being used for Tsute here, and thankfully, they did actually fix this for the LEGO Avatar Way of Water sets. The sequel sets did introduce a smaller hairpiece that is actually perfect for this character, but I can't help but wonder if they couldn't have just pushed that up by one wave. I understand that LEGO waves have mold restrictions and they want to kind of keep things restricted, but I think it would have been a lot more accurate to have just that kind of smaller bit of hair, because right now this is just a really inaccurate figure. That being said, the design language on these figures themselves are really great to see. I love the amount of small detail being factored into each and every one of the characters, and what's really cool is that there are no duplicate figures in the wave. Every single one of the Pandorans is 100% unique, and that means because they're having different outfits throughout the film, from training outfits to war paint outfits to all sorts of different looks and feels, every single one is unique across the different sets, which really represents an investment in the characters themselves and really trying to give us different variations of characters, which I think is really cool. We've talked about the dire horses before in the other reviews, but just to kind of recap these again, cool that they have 6 legs, a nice new animal print, not super sold on the color. I think the color could have been a little bit darker, but overall, not bad. Always good to get brand new LEGO animals and animal molds. Going back to the figures themselves, I also have talked about them quite a lot in terms of the other figure reviews, but just to kind of recap that, I love that they did bring back the Woody long legs and arms. That was fantastic to see that mold being brought back. Super excited to see it maybe being used on something like, I don't know, Chewbacca in the future. I feel like would be pretty perfect to have these long limbs, or some other longer limbed LEGO characters. But overall, I think the heads, the nose detail isn't quite right to me in particular, especially when you view them from the sides. The noses, or lack thereof, feels quite awkward to me in general, but I definitely do like the look and feel of these figures. I don't have major complaints like some others do, and if they kept just using these for the other Avatar stuff, that would be totally fine. I've seen a lot of people online complaining and calling these like bootleg figures, and to be honest, I think I'll have to disagree on that. They definitely do still have the LEGO charm, they just feel a little bit uncanny compared to the standard minifig, probably just because of the noses. Everything else is pretty okay. Alright, so with that, we have summed up our review of set number 75574. Now, of course, do let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of this model? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? And if you own it, what do you think of it? And specifically, what do you think of the value of the set with the price that you have to pay? Now, of course, all the thoughts shared in this review are my own, so I would love to hear your opinions as well. And now that we reviewed all of the minifigure compatible Avatar sets that came out in 2022, it is now time for the next time we'll be publishing an Avatar review. Will be a mega review of every single one of the minifig compatible sets, which of course focus on combining all of the foliage pieces into one massive display. So stay tuned for that. Thank you all so much for tuning into Duckbricks. I hope you enjoyed this review of one of the largest Avatar sets, or actually the largest one to date. And without further ado, like and subscribe for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming your way very soon. And bye for now.